like
They're very curious animals.
Yeah.
I don't think they hear as good as people think they hear either.
I know they have.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I've made some noise.
No pressure, Eric. You got 4 minutes.
A little bit, but they don't know where I'm at, and I'm gonna go right back to business.
Well, like I was telling you on Monday, if I had not had my bow slung to my back, I would have walked right up on her and could have shot a nice big doe, but it was rushing at the bow on the backpack.
Audio only. Yep. Okay, everyone. Welcome to the November 5th special BOS meeting, Board of Selectmen's meeting. Topic of tonight is going to be primarily the loader, then we have a couple things on the other business. Bless you. Excuse me. So please stand and join me for Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to ask again, everybody please state your name when you speak. Even I'm going to ask the board up here because we have audio only tonight. Video is not working for whatever reason. So we are here to talk about the loader, the condition it's in, our existing loader, which is a 2004. Pat, did you want to start off and just kind of fill me in on where we are with it?
Yeah, we have our current loader. We lost the motor in it. It's approximately $25,000 to $30,000 to replace the motor in that loader. Plus
$20,365, so yes. And upcoming repairs that we know are going to be needed, or we anticipate pins.
Yeah, you can Wade, town mechanic. I can see that you're going to need to do pins, the lower pins in the bucket.
Yep.
And eventually, you know, a year or so away, you'll probably be looking at another set of tires on it.
Okay. And what about the articulating pins?
The articulating pins, right now they're okay, but I can foresee doing that.
Okay.
Probably going to need a windshield that's got cracks in it.
Okay.
Rust on the cab, needs rust repair.
Right. So, I'm sorry, it's not transmission. Do the engine. Now, by the way, this is Tom Gray. You can't see me. To do the engine of about $25,000, about another $5,000 for rent. There's a remand as well.
yes.
Yep. And that's a price of $29,994. And he also gave me a price of
Last page.
the cat quote, which is $22,811. And that's for the engine, labor, service. Does this include transportation? That's what I'm looking. Yeah, the one thing I don't see on this quote is to transport it to wherever they're going to bring it to fix it. I'm assuming it's going to Hopkinton,
Yeah.
or would go to Hopkinton. So we'd have to figure what the transportation charge would be to and from on top of this.
Do you know,
Any-
Pat, roughly?
Probably about $800, Tom.
Each way?
That's back and over and back.
Oh, both ways.
That's
Okay.
what Mark Kimball charged us to take the loader down to Nortrax.
All right, so let's see. Okay, on the Nortrax one, the $29,994, they have $900, which is saying is freight, which I'm assuming, shouldn't assume, but transportation, because I can't imagine miscellaneous parts, 750 courses. Okay, I'm going to open it up to the public.
Stan, who determined that the motor was bad? Was it in-house or was it done by a technician from CAT or Nortrax or?
Wade, town mechanic. I actually diagnosed it myself with a tech guy from Caterpillar on the phone, making sure I did the right thing.
Okay, and what was the bottom line? What is wrong with the motor specifically?
It has no oil pressure. It just lost oil pressure and it's wrapping. So.
Mr. Brown?
Okay. Larry Brown, a question, and that is sort of a question and statement with a question mark on it. Do we trust the quality of the transmission work?
I do.
Warranty, yes.
Yeah, it's got a warranty on it,
Okay.
so it's.
So if you take a high figure of $35,000 for the engine, and you add in $10,000 for 2 months of rental, you're at $45,000. Is the pin failure a catastrophic or an oops, we're not doing any more today until we fix it?
Pretty much the oops.
Oops, okay.
Well,
So
can I just touch on it? It depends what pin you're talking about. If you're talking about the bucket pins, it'd probably be an oops. If it's the center articulating pin and that lets go when you're driving down the road, it could be catastrophic.
that of the two sets of pins, which are most worn?
Probably the bucket pins. You're right in the
So
sand.
ideally in a nice warm day in April, if they don't have a catastrophic failure, the bucket pins, not the articulating pin, the bucket pins could be repaired in April, and the supporting member is already manufactured to accept a bushing and a pin. And that steel is intact and serviceable, and it does not have any cracks or welds which would compromise it. I threw in $1,000 for transportation, and that gives me a figure of $46,000, presuming that the tires can be repaired in April in the 2016 budget and in the 2017 serviceable for the workloads and quality of their work to buff and put a new tread on a serviceable casing.
That may be able to be done. That's something I would have to look into.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's all I can think of. Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
I have
Eric?
a bunch. Eric
Oh,
now.
a bunch?
There was a bunch of questions that were online. I cut and pasted a lot of them here. So
Go
don't
ahead.
judge me on grammar, and if I use the word I, it doesn't necessarily mean it's me. I'll tell you if it is. So, one question was in meeting, because it wasn't, nobody was given any notice. But I would appreciate, actually, before I ask my questions, I asked that this be brought to the public, because I think the public,
please?
I think the public needs
let's
to
set
be
all
involved
cell
in this
phones.
decision. I think I proved myself more correct than I thought I was when the Facebook explosion happened. There was a huge discussion online about this. It was done for the good of the town. It was done for the sake of democracy. I personally would appreciate it if the attacks would stop. Okay, there's a lot of heat coming out the back of my head from the back row. Again, as I stated the other day, I personally think that if we need a loader, we should probably get a loader. But the people have an opinion. The town works for the people. So that said, the hearsay quote from online is, I attended Pat Smith stating in his public comments regarding initial breakdown that a factory-trained technician would be required to link and synchronize motor and transmission. Since it's known the loader was subsequently repaired and broke down again, wouldn't that technician's work be covered by the dealer manufacturer and therefore be responsible for the new repair costs?
No. If you replace your transmission in your car, and then your motor goes, are you gonna go back to the transmission guy and say, you owe me a motor? The synchronization they're talking about is not between the two components. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's synchronization of the transmission in a component, the synchronization of the engine, whether it be the fuel injector.
Well, if you were to change the engine and had the injection pump is controlled by the computer, you would probably have to plug into that with CAT software and
Right.
basically synchronize,
The engine
run right.
component.
That's
Yeah.
something that only they can do.
And if we wanted to spend thousands of dollars to buy the equipment, yes, I'm sure we could probably do it. But how often use it once?
Okay, so, thank you. That answers the question. Thank you, Wade.
He probably not done yet.
Oh, I've got a whole list, but go ahead.
Okay, if I may, on that, Larry Brown, on that same issue, there's an article on the new Jaguar sedan, I think RF, which has an Ingenium, a four-cylinder, turboed diesel with a 7-speed transmission that is absolutely matched to the torque and revs of that four-cylinder diesel engine, so that at a speed of 75 miles per hour, it is turning over at 1,400 RPM. And the point of the article was that the work of Jaguar in development of transmission and engine together were the synchronization and the power band and the utility of the two of them together. So you were paying for the engineering to have the computer control engine and transmission together.
If you know that, maybe you can get it to work.
Do we buy the Jaguar instead of the Cat?
Right.
So I think the gist of the question is there any way that we can peg this failure back on the people who did the work last time? And I think the answer is no.
No, I don't see how. It'd be nice, but I don't see how.
So this is my question. It got, a lot of people seem to think it made sense, but I'll let you guys be the judge. If you crunch the numbers into how many hours are on the tractor for the loader versus how long we've had it, and you take the number of hours, and if you use that 10,000 hour lifespan, there's still quite a bit of life left in that tractor. The math I came up with was a little over a year and a half if we spread those hours out evenly, which probably doesn't happen. So has there been any consideration towards repairing this loader now so that we have a usable tractor? I think, Pat, you mentioned on Monday that if we do get this new loader, the old one's just going to sit there.
Well, we haven't got into that discussion. That was just a thought that was out there.
If we
I
spend
think that if we
spend 30 or 40 or whatever it is now, we have a working vehicle that maybe isn't in the best shape it could be anymore, but then we can put forth through the CIP or on the ballot the purchase of a new loader. Then we will have 2 serviceable vehicles, one of which is.
I mean, that's really putting good money towards a bad investment.
The big assumption there is that the 10,000 hour number is correct. And if we weren't using it full-time, we wouldn't be putting as many hours on it, so it would actually last longer.
Because unfortunately...
But beyond that, you'd also have a new engine and a new transmission. I have
Unfortunately,
a car with 300,000 miles on it. It's had a new transmission, it hasn't had a new engine yet. But we might actually go that route if it comes to that, because we really like the car. You extend the life of a vehicle when you do those types of major repairs.
I understand what you're saying, but unfortunately, it's still a piece of equipment that is, 12, 13 years old, and...
The gentleman I buy the hay for my animals from, he mows and bales all of his property using an antique tractor from, I don't know, the 50s.
I understand what you're saying, Eric, but this is a municipal piece of equipment that does like again, I actually work for DPW, and it's...
If we have one piece of equipment, then we'll be here 3 years from now or 4 years from now, because it will, I don't know, fall in a ditch or something.
No, we're 11 years into this. We have money that we can take out of transfer station revolving account. We have a check we just received from FEMA, and we also have some money that was left over in the road reconstruction.
And the road reconstruction, is that the one that was the warrant article this year?
That's every year. It's a 2-year non-lapsing.
Okay, because there were some road construction.
Right,
vehicles.
and it was already done. This is what you're left over.
And for the record, if there is a record, because I don't know if it's recording,
It's
the FEMA money was money that was supposed to go to Public Works anyway, correct?
yes.
Okay. The second part of that question, if that money is left where it is now, what could it possibly be used for in the future? In other words, what are we putting ourselves at risk if we rob Peter to pay Paul?
Which one do you want to start with?
But we'll leave it
Well,
up to
the
you.
road construction money goes into road construction, so that would be next year's road construction. It would go into that type of work. The FEMA money is something that would offset, well, that would be up to the selectmen, but it should go back to the Public Works budget. And the special equipment is to purchase special equipment, and the transfer station revolving fund is to purchase equipment, to maintain equipment, and to for disposal fees.
Thank you. The last question I have, in the Public Work Department presentation to the Board of Selectmen, which I believe is Monday's meeting they're talking about, or no, this would be an earlier one. It was said the total budget would have to increase because costs rose or that services might have to be cut. If there's $125,000 of available funds in these different areas, why weren't these funds brought up then? How can money be reallocated for one purpose but not another? And again, I didn't ask that one. It's a little meaner than I probably would have been.
Road reconstruction can be used for anything to do with road reconstruction, whether it's equipment or it's road reconstruction. We've done it in the past. The FEMA money is money we just received. It goes back into the budget or we use it for this. Special equipment capital reserve fund can only be used to purchase special equipment. It cannot be used to repair. Transfer station revolving fund has to be used partially for items used at transfer station. In other words, you couldn't go out and buy a highway truck with a transfer station revolving account, because that's a highway truck. This load is used a lot at the transfer station.
And Fiat put a solid vinyl sheath on the bottom of their the body pan, and all the water stayed on top and rusted it through from the top rather than the bottom. So my question is, this is no Fiat. This is a heavy, substantial, industrial gauge metal welded up by Caterpillar It had, what is the lifting capacity of the bucket roughly? 4,000 pounds?
I don't know right off the top of my head.
What is the size of the bucket?
The bucket that is
Yeah.
on the current one we have now is 2 1/4 yard.
Okay, so you're paying how much a ton for a cubic yard? 2,000 pounds a cubic yard? Off.
The pump, which is mounted off of the top of the transmission, it's driven off of that.
And but was that repaired with the transmission, or can that break itself?
No, that was with the transmission.
With the
They put that back on.
Oh, okay. So the physical body of the loader, when we get, if we get a new engine and the new transmission that's in it, is not 10,000 hours old. It's 0 hours old. And when new bushings go into it, the bushings will be 0 hours old. Is that a fair assessment?
When the body itself, you have
Yeah.
the rust.
And the cab?
The cab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I think I know what you're assuming, Larry. And if you put a reman engine or reman transmission in anything, you're not gonna get the same amount of hours as you would of original OEM do.
Mm.
So it's gonna be less hours, so you're not gonna get the 10,000 hours, what I'm saying.
But we're
You're starting at 0, I agree with you on that. But I'm just saying, if you're assuming you're gonna get the $10,000 out of a reman, be it engine or transmission, no matter what it's in, it's not gonna happen.
yeah, I'm not trying to argue.
No, I'm not, I just,
best facts.
yep.
And sometimes you just get so damn tired of being clever when you can repair something one more time.
Dennis.
Yeah, Dennis Wing. It's kind of ironic that Mr. Brown brought up that Fiat scenario analogy again, because I recall when Mr. Smith first brought this to the
New engine. It's 2 different components. 2 different components. I mean, I'm in the equipment business, I sell
I know
forklifts,
you do.
and people try to do that all the time. Oh, you brought it back, and now the engine's so good. 2 different components. And as far as, Wade, you can speak to the meshing up, I don't think it's a meshing up of the engine and transmission as much as I think it is setting up the more tracks and
Yeah.
certified mechanics.
Yeah,
Did that between, huh?
That's a good thing.
Yeah, they did go there. We did not do the in-house. So. But it's just, at that meeting, I remember that with the transmission, we had, I'm not gonna say the same discussion, but we were sitting in the same place. Do we put money into it? What do we do with it? We decided to roll the dice, hoping that we're gonna at least get another year. We knew at some point this engine was gonna have to be either overhauled or what. Hoping they're gonna get at least another year out of it. Didn't happen.
And the factory has no liability on it whatsoever.
Nope. Different component altogether. Totally different component. I mean, you weren't here for the part. Wade, you want to tell them what you found on the engine? What, when you looked at it, and how you
The light came on for the oil pressure. Tapped into it with a regular mechanical gauge. 0 oil pressure.
No compression.
no, not compression, oil pressure.
No pressure.
Engine.
Yeah. So that's an indication the oil pump just, I'm not gonna use the phrase you would if you were in the garage, but
Right.
so. But, and that, of course, once that happens, as you know, then it starts wrapping, then you want to spin the bearing. And I'm assuming that with the wrapping, that's what happens on the bearing.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions? Stan?
Stan Nato. Since this all came to light in the last couple of days, I did some phone calls, and I'll get more specific. SUR I talked to Pike Industries, I talked to some local fork operators. Everyone I talked to all agreed that the lifespan of this machine should be 18,000 hours plus, not 10,000. I have yet to have someone tell me 10,000 hours.
Mm-hmm. Did you call the manufacturer?
Well, what do you think they're gonna say, Tom? They want the work.
I'm just asking, I mean, I'm assuming that the way you
I
talk
talked
to.
to them that run them,
Yep.
and they run them 40, 60 hours a week in pits and so forth. A lot harder we're ever gonna run this one. And there's machines out there with a 20,000 hours on it that run like a top, what I was told by many operators. But I wouldn't say lifespan's 20, but I would definitely agree with 15,000.
I did notice that one of the warranties on the new John Deere, which, by the way, I love John Deere, so it could just be the difference between a deer and a cat. But one of the warranties was actually.
Let's not show
10,000 hours.
prejudice here.
I think we're all allowed to show prejudice when it comes to our favorite tractors, can't we? Like sports teams.
Yep. Go ahead, I'm just looking at the
So-
warranties as you're speaking.
Again, that number just, I saw it when I was on the page, there was one of the warranties, and it wasn't end to end, it was structural warranty, I believe.
Coverage for 36 months, 10,000 hours, correct.
So again, it strikes me as odd that one tractor would have a warranty the same as the other tractor's supposed end of life. The cat wouldn't.
Well,
cat's
the
not
10,000 hour is not anything to do with engine transmission, that's structural.
Structural, okay.
It's a structural coverage for 36 months or 10,000 hours.
Is the brand new loader that's parked over by the PWD now the tractor we're talking about?
I haven't seen it. Is that,
I haven't seen it either, I just heard about it.
I just heard about it, I mean, is that the 524 John Deere that's there?
Yeah.
It is, okay. So they brought that up for a demo.
So they spent $800 transport charge to bring us a demo?
I can tell you.
Is it safe to say they assume they're getting the business?
That's cheap money. I do it as a salesman a lot. When you get a piece of equipment you want someone, you drop it off, so try it out. It's just the way a lot of equipment dealerships do things like that. So try it out.
I don't have any more questions, I just have one statement, which is that I was a little encouraged on Monday when I said that this should go before the people, and you agreed. It's been clear ever since that there's been no real intention of listening to any of the arguments that have
That's
been
not
brought
true.
forth.
That's absolutely not true.
There's been some nasty things online, Tom, and you said some of them.
I didn't say anything on regarding this at all. You asked for information, I gave you information, that's all.
That's not what I'm talking about. And
I never said one nasty thing concerning this online.
you did. But
No, I
we
didn't.
can get into, that's a separate discussion.
Okay, we'll talk about that, because I
I've got
don't.
screenshots.
Huh?
I save everything. I just feel that we put the cart before the horse here. I think.
Thank you, John.
A second.
Thank you, Bob. Mr. Brown.
Just in case there's anyone who is entertaining a thought that says that the town mechanic is not a tiger on behalf of his maintenance of the town's vehicles and his ability to perform the repairs. I think the engine turned out, what is the number of hours on the engine?
Close to
630.
That engine turned out to be an 8,630-hour engine,
Yep.
not a wave repair.
Okay. Well, any other comments before we, Lou?
Lou Snyder. Just a quick question. Are you saying you have found the total amount of money for this loader
Yes.
in your budget?
Not in the budget. We're not even touching the budget. That was one of my things that I was, one second, Stan. That was one of the things I was pretty adamant when we first had this discussion. I did not want to dip in the budget. You know, Pat's got some money in the budget where he has been short-handed, you know, employees. I did not want to touch anything. So, Stan.
I disagree with you on that, and the reasoning behind it is the FEMA money would be going into the budget.
I could go back into the budget, yes.
Right, so that is coming from the budget. If that's where it's directed to go, is the budget, then it's coming out of it. And also with the road construction, that's in the budget.
No, it's not.
Well,
No, it's not. No, it's not. That isn't a special warrant article.
It's a special warrant
It
article.
does not come out of the budget. It does not even touch the budget. Anyone else? All right. Well,
Can
huh?
Andy Rodson?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Go ahead.
You know, it's unfortunate this has happened, and it's a huge pill that we have to swallow. This piece of machinery is a very, I mean, it does. We use it every day. Snow removals, loading trucks with sand and salt. We need something that is going to be reliable. And you know, I put the taxpayers, you know, first. And to me, to put, you know, close to $50,000, okay, in a piece of machinery that is now, you know, 12, 13 years old, I mean, I don't see where it all adds up. I understand, you know, some of your points, but I don't think that's putting the taxpayers, you know, in our best interest. I mean, putting all this type of money into a piece of machinery that we could put a motor in it, but you know, it's unfortunately it's old, and it's been worked, and I just don't, you know, feel that putting that type of money in a piece of machinery with that type of age is moving the town forward. I talked to 3 people at the gas pump coming into this meeting, and I explained who I was, and I said, I want your opinion on, you know, what we should do, either or. It doesn't matter to me. I just 3 random, okay, and this is the God's honest truth. And each one of those people said that they probably would move forward on buying a new piece of equipment and not putting, you know, a boatload of money into, you know, an old loader. So, with that being said, I'd like to make a motion to move forward to purchase the Nortrac 2005-24K loader for the sum of $124,750.
Accordingly, the hours on that's what, 8,600 hours, and supposedly it's been from 2007?
No. 4.
Okay, 2004. And if you do the math, I think that figures out like 15 hours a week, does it not? Secondly, I looked at the expense report, and it showed a total of 8, I believe, no, either 7 or 8 oil changes since 2007.
Since 2007?
That's what the expense report said.
But
It's still irrelevant now.
Right, no, it was too,
I'm
right.
just curious.
That's only because that software takes it from 2007 to present, doesn't show what was done before
So
2007.
you've done 7 or 8 oil changes since 2007,
The oil gets changed in that about every 6 months.
but why is it not listed, or why is the others listed and this not? I'm just curious. Is it all irrelevant now? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Computer
It
problems.
should be on the list unless some of the stuff had gotten,
Yeah.
you know, missed or
All
deleted.
right.
I gotta,
What? Yeah, go ahead, John.
I wanna take the time to thank the Board of Selectmen for stepping up to the plate, and making this decision. And also I wanna thank them for trying to help the public understand for the inexperienced questions that I've heard here tonight on equipment. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Yeah, Mr. Brown, last question on this issue.
No, if I understand it, we have just saved about 5% of the cost of the new machine because we're not paying for a month of rent. So we've saved $5,000 off that purchase price, possibly 10. Plus the demo transportation has been eaten by the
distributor.
distributor. So that represents at least $6,000 off the price of the vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And like Andy's second motion, whatever money we get from this,
I just had a statement to Tammy Smith.
he's trying to tell me to shut up.
Oh.
But that's my fault.
If the town buys a new piece of equipment, can they not also depreciate that over so many years, so there's a tax savings to the town in that aspect as well?
You'd have to ask an accountant that question. I really don't know the answer to that.
I would assume you could.
I'm assuming so, but we'd have to ask it, you know, I'd count that. But anyways, like I was gonna say, Andy's second motion of putting this out for bid, whatever monies we get goes back to help offset this cost. So, one more, Larry.
I'm sorry. If I think I follow your point, if we're talking about a bonded indebtedness of the town over a nominal 10 or 15-year period, sometimes that is presented as the thing to do because people moving into the town will also come along to absorb the cost, and it won't be us, which is sitting in the room, taking the entire hit on the cost. Is that part?
No, what I was actually saying is like if you own your own business and you have business vehicles, you can depreciate those over so many years. So I'm asking if we could do the same thing with this new piece of equipment.
I think that happens. We don't pay
We are the
taxes.
state.
We don't pay taxes, how are we gonna?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think it does.
Yeah, I didn't want to say yes or no because I really don't know, and I want to be. But we'll find the answer to that question just to make sure. So. Okay. We've exhausted that. We have another business to take care of tonight. Is this a non-public issue or is this letter?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, well,
I can't, the only thing it would qualify under would be C, but
yeah, no, I don't.
I don't think it.
Well, I'm going to read a letter that was drafted and put to our attorney, and this has to do with our, it's McKenzie and Company, Warren Jenkins McKenzie, their cease and desist order they had is for monies invested, and this is to the trustees. Dear trustees, this letter is in regards to the above reference involving a recent notification of a cease and desist against McKenzie Company in the town received on November 2nd, 2015. You have recently transferred all town assets under your control to this investment company. The town's auditing company and the town's legal counsel are advising assets to be transferred immediately away from McKenzie Company. We also are asking you to do that. Should you not do so immediately, you are hereby notified that any loss to the town of Milton will result in all of you being held personally liable. This is to the trustees. In situations such as these, the entire town needs to be extremely conservative and careful when notified about any fraud or wrongdoing of any level. It is not your money, it is the town's money. We again reiterate that we fully agree with the town's auditing company and the town's legal counsel that you transfer these funds immediately. And this is from the Board of Selectmen at the advice of our town attorney. As I've said over and over again, I'm a very firm believer. You hire an attorney, you do what he says to keep you out of trouble. So, I'm going to need a motion to authorize sending this letter forward.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You get the original?
Yeah.